Welcome, 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 welcome to Sipping with Maria and Tika G, where we do not talk about politics, religion, or celebrities. We feel like there's enough vlogs, and other podcasts that talk about that stuff. Today's topic is: should the absent parent pay child support if they're taking care of their children? Yeah, this is one of those topics that I'm gonna call a hot topic because we're gonna have a lot of people calling in, hopefully, to talk about this. Men, we want to hear from you. We know the women's point of view. Men, we really want to hear from you. We need you to call in. Check my Facebook page at Facebook Sipping with Maria and Tika G. Hit the link and you can come right on in. Or you can go to my other Facebook page, it's Maria G, and it's up there as well. So, should the absent parent pay child support if they are taking care of their children? Everybody has their own opinion to this question. I feel like if the parent is doing what they are supposed to do, I feel like you shouldn't have to pay child support if you are already doing what you're supposed to do. A lot of people would disagree with that. Me personally, I feel like if you're one of those parents that's doing everything already for the child, I feel like you shouldn't have to pay child support too. Now, I Googled what child support was, and the definition that it gave me was a court ordered payments typically made by a non custodial divorced parent to support one's minor child or children. Um, I won't necessarily say divorce because a lot of people do have children outside of wedlock as well. Child support also refers to the sum that the non custodial parent must pay to the custodian. This sum serves as a parental contribution for the child's basic living expenses, such as food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, and education. I agree with that. Tika,
Hey.
hey, I know you had some answers about this question, and as I told the listeners, it's going to be one of those topics. Should the absent parent pay child support if they're taking care of their child or children?
Well, this question only received one answer where the parent um believed that, you know what, we have this little agreement going. It's all good. It's we've been having it for years. It's fine. I don't have any issues with it. Um and that was just one. So out of all the other people that I asked, it was Um, they should be paying child support, in a legal way, such as going to court at the actual child support. Everything is filed, everything is official. Those were most of the responses I was getting. Um, I even had someone telling me that, well, I guess a few people telling me that it's that they went and got the child support raised, and these are women, got the child support raised when they found out that the ex spouse or the person that they were with and are no longer with started dating or ended up marrying um, someone else. And
Hmm.
I don't know if it made them feel some type of way or whatever, but it was more like, oh yeah, they're not gonna have their happy home and have be spending money that I should be getting. But all of a sudden, it turned into that where when the man wasn't with someone, it wasn't a problem. So that was a little, and that was I would say that was quite a few. Having that control factor to me was it seemed like that was what was going on in those situations because as you noticed and what I said, they didn't mention anything about the child, right?
Right. It was all about him spending extra money on his new family.
So yeah, that was a little like whoa. So then I did have someone say that they went to go to court to get the child support raised, And she was saying that it was because of what her current husband had asked her to do. He asked her, when that he said these are not my children, and it seems like they might be eating a little more. I'm coming downstairs and a whole loaf of bread is gone, type thing, and you need to go and get the child support raised. So when she gets to court, the judge lowered her child support, because in the state that we live in, he was saying that she doesn't work. So, and she's an able-bodied person to be able to work. And he asked her why she didn't work, and she said, "Oh, no, no reason. And my husband just doesn't want me to right now." And it's legal, here to go ahead and say, "Well, you're not working. Child support is not a salary. Child support is not an income for, for like you're at work. This is not a job to be in place of a job." And so she said that she was like, wow, walked out with less than what she came
Right.
in with. So,
I know somebody that happened to. She went to get more money. She wasn't working, and they wound up taking it from her.
right. So,
She
um,
did.
so it like in these situations, I'm still needing to hear more about the child, and and more discussions about what the child needs, and how you read the definition of it. Just some things that the child would need, not who who has the bigger house now, and now, oh, okay, you got a bigger house now. Okay, I'm taking you for more child support. No, this is like, what are we gonna start? I just hearing about the child.
Right, and that's what I was about to say. It's not a. It's supposed to be about the child, but it's not about the child. It's about how much the one can get from the other.
Hmm.
Sad but true. Sad but true. We do have a guest in the room. His name is. Let him introduce himself. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, what's going on? Uh, my name is Moscow. I'm the husband of Tika, uh, and so she had to come into this I guess you could say blended family, right? Because I come in with a child from a previous marriage and things of that nature, so having to deal with child support myself, I understand this topic, and so which one me to just go in? You want me to just go in?
Go in.
Go
You
in.
got the floor. You got the
Let me
floor.
go
Go
in.
in.
Well, let me go in. First of all, when it comes down to child support, I took myself right. I'm the one who initiated the divorce paperwork. I filed all the paperwork. Right, I filed the separation agreement, which had all the child support and stuff in there that we agreed upon. And then I went to child support enforcement to make sure it was coming out of my check, because there was so much back and forth with her using like my child against me. Like you were talking about having items. I came with a car. I got a brand new car one time. The payments for the car didn't really change from the payments I had before, but because I had another car, I had a brand new car. I drove to go pick my son up. She walked out of the house and looked, saw me saw me after I drove hours away to go pick my son up. Saw me in this new car, took my son right back in the house, and told me that because she saw me in that car, she was thinking about not letting him come with me. And it took an argument to get to the point where like, I need to spend time with my son. What does my car have to do with anything?
Right.
I remember when she bought a house, I said, congratulations. I hope to buy a house one day. She bought a house before we bought a house. I said, I hope to buy a house one day too. Her statement back right after that was, I hope you'll increase child support before you buy a house.
Wow.
That was the statement directly after
So it's
that.
like she don't want you to have nothing.
Nothing of my own, right? Without giving
Exactly.
more up, right? And so I do believe that men we should pay our way. It can get a little crazy when you look at entertainers, right? I think when you look at it, like even the situation with 50 Cent and his son that's going out now, once his son became of age, 50 Cent stopped paying child support. So now now the son's mother's hurting. So the son is like, well, my mother is hurting now. She don't have that money. But she shouldn't have used that as income. She was living her
First
best
of
life when she was
all,
getting all that money.
she was getting how much? 20,000, sixty
Twenty-five
thousand
thousand dollars a month or something
a
like
month,
that.
and
How you
you getting
hurting?
$25,000 a month, and you mean to tell me you ain't had no money?
Right. You know, it
That doesn't make
eventually
any sense.
makes no sense whatsoever because you decided then you didn't need to work. Now this was income for you, right? And so yes, because these entertainers making this type of lifestyle, have this type of money, I think that child support should have at least a set number, right? Because it only takes so much to raise this child.
Right.
After that, yes, I believe they should give up for an endowment for the child, a trust fund for the child, so that the child can have a step ahead in life. But you should be paying income to this to the mother of the child just because y'all laid together and had this child. You should not pay her income because because this child should have a greater lifestyle. So that means she needs to have a greater lifestyle, right? Her hair done, her nails done, and she's not working, but you're taking care of all of that.
Then it doesn't become
Right.
child support; it becomes spousal support.
And support, yeah, it becomes like yes, girlfriend, ex girlfriend support, and so
Yeah, that's not child support then.
that's not child support then.
Oh my
Wow.
God, these. Okay, I
You know,
I understand. I understand what you're saying. I um I have a very close friend of mine, and she messed up. Slept with. This is his first child. He messed up, slept with another dude, and before she gave birth, she told him about it, and then had the dude in the delivery room right along with him. So when the baby came out, he noticed, he that was his daughter. So then, bam, that's the first one, and you messed up and around and did the second one, but you lied about it. He was paying child support. Come to find out, the second child was not even his, but because that child had the same last name, the state decided to add that child on to the child support. Not only is he paying child support to his biological child, but also to a child that doesn't belong to him. So that's why, my question is it okay to even put yourself on child support if you know in your heart as that other parent that you're doing the right thing by that child?
I mean, if you,
It become that borderline question.
I mean, for situations like that, I know that the courts have always looked at and said that because yes, when they had the baby, the idea was that probably that was yeah, it was the baby's father. The birth certificate has that child has that guy's name on there.
But DNA doesn't lie. And he did a DNA test for both children. And that that
Wow.
boy, that boy is not his. And he presented that to the court, but the court still would not
Not
reconsider the child support payments.
yeah, reconsider this thing, but the courts have been biased a long time, so I don't.
Yeah. So, and the laws here in the state of Texas are so different and so crazy because this is an independent state. But it's like at some point the system is designed to make a good parent actually fail at every obstacle as possible, but also to allow that parent that's really not doing anything, that's just sitting there waiting on the check and then government assistance. They don't really look at it. When you pay child support, you don't get all that money that's actually being paid, that's being taken out of your check each month or each pay
Mhm.
period. The
Mhm.
state takes half of that. But some of these,
Wow.
they don't realize that. They don't actually take the time to look at the paperwork. The state gonna take what's theirs first before you see any of that.
Mhm.
And heaven forbid if that parent is on any type of government assistance, they're gonna come at you even for even more. You ain't gotta pay, they're gonna take it out your check.
Why do you feel like it's mainly put on the fathers to pay child support and not the mothers to pay child support? Because I know a guy that's a single parent, and he's probably one of the few men that I know that is a single parent, a guy that's a single parent and the baby mama pays child support. But why does it seem like the men pays child support more than the female pay child support? Is it that still living by the Bible that the quote unquote the man's supposed to take care of the family, be the breadwinner?
I
Yes,
don't know.
I think it
Well,
is.
it takes
I
a
think
lot to
that's what
take a
they need.
parent to take the child from a mother too, right? You know, the courts love to keep the child with the mother, so you have to prove that a mother is not doing anything for the child almost, and it takes a lot of proof to get to that point before a father can be named as the number one. I mean, you carried the baby for 9 months, the way the court looks at it, right? So you primary, and I think
Hmm.
that's what.
A
So
dog can give birth and still not be a parent. Come on now.
right, I got a friend of
Them
mine.
heifers ain't a lot of them heifers ain't right in the head. Come on. A
Not
lot of them heifers ain't right in the head.
process like that. He got process. He has the child. He won the child in court because she didn't show up. But and so and another person I know because the mother left the state to take another job somewhere. The courts were like, but you left the state, so that means you left the children. The children belong to the father. And so I did see those. She's thinking she's going to try to make a better life for them, but you left the state is what the state looked at, is what the court looked at, and you don't have the child anymore. This other one, she didn't show up to court for the child or to get the child, and so therefore they automatically awarded the child to the father.
Right.
And it's hard for him, even through all the processes of right when he was going back and forth to getting his child. They had an agreement. The court set up that he would have to he pay for the child to go back to her. She would have to pay for the child to come to him. Of course, the paying for the child to come to him never happened. So he had to do the extra to make sure he got his child. And he had to do it, and then also get the child back to her. So he had to take care of double those parts. He's gonna do it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I do think the courts, make it even more harder for the male to be have sole custody of the child or the children. They do make it hard, and y'all do have to work, harder to to really prove that mother is unfit.
Right.
And it can be biased. It can be very biased. But a lot of these women are not fit to be parents just because they have a baby. They're really not, and they're sometimes it is better off to be with the father.
I agree with that. I have a friend. Um, when I say take care of his daughter, take care of his daughter. Daughter don't want for nothing to the point that I know he take care of his daughter because he'll be like, he'll ask me. He used to ask me to go pick her up. When I pick her up, drop the money off to the baby mama or whatever the case may be. When I say he was taking care of this child to the point where the mother wasn't working, but she wanted more because he had moved on into another relationship. Well, she went to court, took him to court. She got child support. But what he stopped doing, he stopped giving her cash and let them take the money out of his check. Now, the joke is on her because what the court ordered and what he was giving her is way less. Now, so now he won't do no more or no less because she didn't have no reason to take him to court for child support. The man was damn near giving the girl all over $1,000 a month for the baby.
And that's what
So you
she
done
get.
got greedy, and she done went to the courts and got greedy. So you done went from $1,000 a month in cash now to only $300 a month. So now she's asking him, well, the baby need this, the baby need that. When I was, he told her when I was doing this, you took me to court. So now I'm gonna get what she need, but this $300 a month gonna have to work. He still take care of his daughter. He just when he buy her stuff, he don't let her take the clothes to the mama house no more. He take them clothes off and put back on what she came there with. But he used to every time he got the daughter every weekend, the girl went on a shopping spree. He took the baby on the shopping spree. He always did for her, not just financially, but he was a father. And then this greedy tail girl wants to get, now you mad because your $1,000 done went from 1,000 to 300 because you want to take somebody to court. It's crazy. I don't even think the child support be used for the child. I think it's for the mother, and it's
I
sad.
mean, I think the state needs to adopt the same type of child support system the military has in place. You don't necessarily have to draw fund, have the state step inside, step in the middle of a custody dispute when both of the parents can sit down and, y'all go through a mediator, because
Mhm.
you'll be able to see on both sides with both of them in the same room, the inner, how they interact, how, just you a person to tell on themselves, just sit them in a room with somebody they got a problem with, you'll see a whole nother person versus that other, you walk in the room and then you start being formal and asking questions. It you'll see, you know
Mhm.
but with the military, they have that type of procedure in place, to where if you can't sit down and go through a mediator and be civil, the next step is court, and that's the last thing you want to do, because then it becomes ordered. And if you step outside of those orders, it's not only just the person that, that didn't follow the court order. The other parent, both of y'all gonna be looked at and see why it happened, the reason why this person did what they did. The state needs to adopt that type of system, and they'll be able to see it, and they'll cut down a whole lot of child abuse, child endangerment, neglect, you know
Mhm.
kidnapping. One parent is trying to save that child, and then it becomes a kidnapping because that parent don't have, custody. it,
Mhm.
it'll cut down a lot of factors.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. What you think, Tika?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But do you think that, because it seems like the child support thing is like old as all. I mean, even the method of it. Do you think the method of it is ever going to change legally? Do you think they're going to ever dive more into exactly what is being used on the child, or?
I think they should. I think that the parent that has the child that's receiving the child support at the end of the year should have to present receipts. I do.
I mean, it's Social Security. Social Security does is adopted the same thing with some facilities. They have to, anything that is spent out of that person's funds, they have to produce receipts. Why you can't do the same thing when it comes to child support? Because it never, 5 times out of 10, it doesn't go to that child. Whatever funds is
Exactly.
coming in, it does not go to that child, to the person it's supposed to be for.
Mm-mm. Mama went to get girl. She going to the concert. You hear me? She going to get her hair and her nails did.
But my son calling me, telling me he needs some brand new cleats.
Hmm.
He needs some shoes for school.
Yeah,
And
I
you
think
just
some of those numbers are kind of difficult, right? I mean, you look at how much food, right? How much of the food, that you purchase goes to the child? How much of the electricity that's being used in the house, the water,
hmm
But you can't
because
critique
how much
something
of the
like that.
house?
Yeah, but you can't critique something like that, because that's part of living.
Right, but
hmm
that's what those mothers are saying, right? And so when you look at that, I think there should be look at, when you look at any item, it should be cut. It should be an amount based off of, hey, this person's usage in your home gives this, right? This person's usage in your home does this other thing, right? So I don't know where that number is going to be. It's not going to be, well, there's two of us living in this house, so half the house the child got to pay for. Well, you'd have this house regardless. So
Right.
the father said had to pay for half of the house for the child, unless that child has ownership of half of the house, right? Or that father has ownership of half of that house. It'd be a different story.
But then it
Right.
becomes part of a trust. It can be turned into part of a trust,
Right, I
and
believe it too.
that can actually be considered as child support, because
Hmm.
that's part of, that's that child's future. That's part of that child's, future. Just like you can set up a college fund, that can be placed into a trust as well, just so that parent cannot touch that money. That child only has that access to that money.
Right.
But a lot of these parents don't factor in and critique the little stuff that these courts and their system has in place. How can you put child support on a light bill, rent, car note? This is what this parent, or this is what this child needs to get back and forth. Now, for a parent that's not paying his child support, and they're behind, let them pop up with a car. the state of Texas is going to take that car and give it to that parent. That's part of your child support payments. But you still have to make payments on that car, regardless of whether that parent has that car or not. The state confiscated that car, but you still have to make payments because that's considered part of your child support. You can't renew your license. You can't get registration if you're behind on any type of child support or if you owe any child support. Now, the good thing about that is the person that is paying child support is allowed to claim that child at the end of the year on their taxes.
I think it's like the other way in
But how
Virginia.
Okay.
often is that upheld?
I think that's the other way in Virginia. I don't know, man. I be seeing that the custodial parent, right,
Mm-hmm.
has can claim the child on the taxes, even though the point that's paying child support, because the custodial parent is like, look, I'm still putting up money as well, and I'm doing all this as well, so I'm going to claim the child on for tax purposes and get that tax money in because I'm the custodial parent. Um, so I see that a lot here
Mm-hmm.
as far as that's concerned. It's not. It doesn't go back and forth. Like, no, we're not doing it like that. This is gonna be. I'm getting all of this, and that's understandable if they're doing. In my opinion, the child is living with them, right? If I'm only taking care of the child on every other weekend, so out of a 14-day span, I've only got the child for 2 to 3 days. Then I can see an issue with that. I mean, but heck, when I paid child support, when I had my son during the summer, the child, they didn't say, hey, you turn around. She paid me child support, right? And I was taking
Mm-hmm.
care of my child during the summer. However, I assumed that if I did it under the court system a different way, where we were forced to do that, which I've seen I had a friend of mine who did because their child was really young, so they did the 1 month on, 1 month off. That one I was talking about, they had to transfer the child back and forth.
Mhm.
When he had the child, she had to pay him child support. You know what I'm saying? In essence. And
Yeah.
then he had to pay,
Because
but he was making more money. So of course he paid out more in essence of child support than she ever did when he had the child.
yeah. But each state have their own child support laws, but it also comes into that parent that is in that situation. Your best bet and your best line of defense for yourself, educate yourself on your laws, especially dealing with your rights as a parent. That's first and foremost, because so parents use, it's been known women can use the system to their advantage and manipulate the system to where these people don't really care, because the only thing they're saying, this is part of a statistic. That's all they care about, is to make a statistics. But state of
Mhm.
Texas, the one thing I can say, is a good side of that. No, if the parent is paying child support, because either you have to have health insurance for that child. If that child is going through the state and getting Medicaid, oh, you're about to pay extra for that, because that child has to go through the state, and the state, you're going to pay the state back the money. But if you have a job that offers health care, put your child on it. You don't want your child on Medicaid, because you're going to pay more on your child
Mm.
support. But they do allow you to claim that child at the end of the year, because you're paying health insurance for that child. Just
Mm.
how they say, look, you got to pay attention to those little loopholes, because no matter what document, it's always some type of loophole somewhere.
Well, it's like you pay more for child in daycare, right? So child in the daycare age, you pay more because your child is in daycare. It increases the amount of money that you have to pay out because of the daycare cost.
And you get that back when you file your taxes.
Not the non-custodial parent does.
No, you're able to get that back. That's what I'm saying. You're able to get that back. In the state of Texas, yes, if you have a child that's in daycare, whether you're paying child support or not, that parent can file that on their taxes. That's what I say. It's a good
Oh, wow.
thing to where when that parent that is paying child support, you getting that money back.
I should have moved to Texas.
Put that
Right?
child in child, because I guarantee you, all that money you paying for child care, they're gonna give you at the end of the year. If they don't give it to you, ask for it. They give you a document, and it's gonna tell you how much money you pay out to that daycare for that whole year to take care of that child. You file that on your taxes. That's part of that
Mm.
tax break. So it's like I said, educate yourself. know your state laws dealing with child support, because there's a lot of parents that are paying child support don't realize half of them funds you're paying back. Keep up on your payments. Do what you're supposed to do, because you will get that money back at the end of the year. You can get that money back.
Mm. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. We learned something today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a how to say it's one of those bittersweet topics, because so many people use it for the wrong reasons. But if
Right.
you can use it for the right reason, I guarantee it could be a helper for you and that child. And also for that parent to understand, no matter what, you still got to grow up. You got obligations. Some of them eventually get it. Some of them just, hey, still be stuck.
This is true. This is true. So to answer this question, should the absent parent pay child support if they are taking care of their children? I still, I don't think that they should have to pay child support. But most people think they still should. But at the end of the day, I don't think, like we discussed, it doesn't become child support. It comes baby mama support.
I mean,
Because
buying
you got
buying shoes and clothes is a part of the process. It's just not even with child support, right? It doesn't, the rest of that stuff is looked at as gifts, right? You still gonna have to pay for some shoes and clothes. You still got to pay for AAU games. If they want to be in dance, if they want to be on whatever nowadays, you got to buy uniforms every year for all these different schools for what reason I don't know. And
That's
so,
child support. That's the definition of child support.
right, that
Not,
doesn't cover in that child support, right? That covers and not in anybody's eye, right? So you still got to pay.
yeah.
Yeah, but I was always trying to communicate, say, hey, let's come halfway, and halfway never happened, right? It was always at the end, hey, I paid my half, but my son still isn't in AAU. Doesn't have uniforms at AAU, so she know at the end of it, I'm gonna fork out because I want him to have. I don't want him to be without. And I was
mm,
giving him money once he became of age to be a little bit more responsible. I was giving him money every 2 weeks for him to have spending money on top of the child support I was paying. So I was giving him spending money every 2 weeks that he could have, so that he doesn't be around his friends and not have.
But
right.
he gave that to who?
Oh, I gave that to him.
No, he gave that to who?
Because
He said,
Unwillingly, I can
Oh,
honestly
he
say
did give some of it
unwillingly,
to
because
his
what
mother for
teenager
some.
gonna give?
"Oh,
What
he
teenager
gave it
gonna
to
give
his
up some
mother
duck is willingly?
He did give it up to his mother for some things. It seemed like she need, that she didn't take care of because the whole time she didn't work.
she was using child support.
And she kept sending her husband overseas so he could work overseas. But yeah, all of that.
But
Hmm.
again, why is you still using this child support for your support? It
Mm.
doesn't that it can't be. It's not child support then. If it's not going towards that child and supporting, to help offset any needs this child need, it's not child support. That child don't need no hair done. That child don't need no fingernails done. That child ain't trying to have no club time and some drinks on the side. You know, it's the
Going
first of
about
the
it.
month. That child ain't trying to ball out at the club, splurge a
Right.
little bit. Girl, I'm gonna buy you a drink too.
Right.
No. And these heifers is good for that. That child don't wear a lace front. You 2 years old. What's she doing with a lace front?
I can't with you.
Mm.
I can't with you. And then what's crazy is that you say that. I seen this little girl with a lace front on. I don't know if they put it on her as a joke, but it was not cute. I was hot. Like she was mine.
You know what? We just gonna pray and say, Lord, just give it to God, because it got to be some type of joke they were playing,
It had to be. It had to be.
because that is just
Eh,
ridiculous.
yes, it is. Nicole is here. Nicole's here every week. Hey,
Hey,
Nicole.
Nicole.
You have something to say? She might call in if she got something to say. Yep. I just, I don't know. Maybe this is a 50-50 thing, but like Tika said, only one person agree with me that if they doing what they supposed to do, I don't think that they should have to pay child support.
I mean, because but there's just so many that I mean, I know too many people whose children are right here. They and do absolutely nothing for their children. So you got to have that balance, right? So if the courts need to almost force the father
That's
to be in their life,
different.
because I think fathers need to be in these children's lives, and
Oh
know the
yes,
mother is not being, and on Father's Day. Don't I know some women say I'm the mother and the father. It's impossible, right? You can't be both. You're just a great mother or what have you. But their child needs a father or somebody to be a father figure, to either to know what a real man is, to either become a man, or to know what kind of man you need to look for in life, or or to stay away from. All right, so you need to know, you need that guide that a father can bring, and those men need to be forced to be fathers as well. Or in the other case, those women need to be forced to be mothers that aren't being mothers, right? I mean,
I agree with
I
that
know
too.
people in that situation, very little, but I know people in that situation,
Mhm.
and so maybe the courts force that, and then how they used to say, how they always say, bring the receipts, right? If you can bring the receipts of
Mhm.
what you're spending on my child, so that to the court, and the courts take a hold of receipts and say, okay, well, this makes sense based off our numbers. It should be this. What are you doing with the child support? And then I like the mediation conversation, but even that should be. I'm old army, so even if they do after action, like they should come back at the end of every year and really look at the relationship between the mother father, really be
Exactly. Give
involved in
that
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 relationship.
family evaluation.
Right, every year, right? Because it's going to change. Okay,
Yes.
and let's okay. So I guess now we need to step up our enforcement measures even more, or we need to. Y'all seem like y'all got a handle on it, and let's just see where we're going with this, and give guidance throughout. Right, there should be
Yeah, and to
forced
where
guidance.
yeah, they're able to how they say take their hands slowly off the situation to where they no longer need that mediation. They already know how to communicate with each other and be able to solve anything that comes up, and be able to come together financially. You don't necessarily have to be in a relationship, and y'all can co-parent. A lot of people don't
Mhm.
understand what it is to co-parent.
But co-parenting needs communication. And so there needs to be
Exactly.
there needs to be something there, right?
Exactly.
So in order to co-parent, you got to communicate, and so and therefore,
I
yes, there
love the way
should
you
be
put that.
some
Yes.
peace in there.
Yes, definitely. If you can't, and honestly, I get it. You necessarily can't communicate or co-parent with an ignorant person. It's
Mhm.
it's, it's not feasible.
That's where somebody
At
needs to step in
all.
and force that person, whether they're ignorant or not. They still got to follow the law, the rule.
Exactly. Exactly. So in some cases it can be a good thing, but in most cases, no. They need to be exactly what they try what they claim to be, adults.
Exactly. I agree with that.
We're losing too many of our kids to the streets, to foolishness, to where you know how you want your child to grow up. You know how you want your child to be raised. Don't let
Right.
the streets raise your child when you got the opportunity to raise your own child.
Facts. I agree with that.
Well, I tell y'all, I have to get ready to leave off. It's great talking with y'all.
Same here. Thanks for coming.
No doubt, no doubt. Y'all have yourselves a good one. Great conversation.
Same here. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You have a good night as well.
So, thank you. This was a great topic. You started some stuff on here tonight, girl. Dana, that's what you wanted. Tika.
Yes, because these are some topics that we need to touch on, and as women, we need to do better. You know,
We do.
Definitely.
we need to do better. Just because these dudes don't want to be with us, don't try to get back at them using a child, because that's only creating more bitterness.
Exactly. Then you called a bitter bitch, and nobody wants to be a bitter bitch.
And really, who wants to have that label? Oh, that's just my baby mama. You know
Right.
how many negative songs is made off of, how many negative conversations that adds up to a baby mama? Who
Yes.
wants a baby mama label?
We have a new listener in here tonight, Dominic. Thank you, Dominic, for listening.
Welcome. And feel free to comment, say your piece. Come on. We love everybody's intellect and communication.
Yeah. So back to the topic before we end it. Is there anything else anybody has to say before we end the conversation?
Tika?
Nope.
Should the absent parent pay child support if they are taking care of their child?
I say it depends on the situation.
Drum roll, please. I agree with Dana. It depends on the situation. It depends on the situation. Now, we used to, I don't know why we stopped, but the name of the show was called Sipping with Maria and Tika G, and now we have our permanent co host, Dana Harris. We forgot, Tika, to ask them what they sipping on when they listening to us. So we have to go back to that. Me personally,
Ooh.
I'm sipping on a cup of ice water because I'm a little parched. The weekend ain't here
I
yet.
just got straight
So
ice.
So we forgot what the sipping on. Nicole, what you sipping on since you just listening today? Nic-
She said some Miralax.
Okay.
I can't with her. I can't with her.
I knew I
I
smelled
want to thank
something.
every-
I knew I smelled something. Mm.
I want to thank everyone for coming on the show. All the new listeners, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, you can always find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Just Google us, Sipping with Maria and Tika G. That's us. That's Sipping with Maria, the number three, Tika, TIKAGEE.com. Holla at us. If you haven't listened to season 1 through 3, they are available now. You can listen to those now. And I want to appreciate again, thank you everybody for coming on the show. And we out.
Sipping with Maria and Tika G. Sipping with Maria and Tika G. We don't talk about politics, religion, or celebrities. Sipping with Maria and Tika G. Sipping with Maria and Tika G. We don't talk about politics, religion, or celebrities. Catch us every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and don't forget your wine. Sipping with Maria.